So we'll begin lying down. Stretch out on your mat. Take a deep breath. Close your eyes. And let yourself arrive in this moment. Let go of the lists, the plans, and just enjoy right now. Notice how your body feels. And continue to be mindful as you move through the practice today. Paying attention to what your body's telling you each step of the way. Take a deep breath in and let it out. Start to wiggle fingers and toes. Turn your head gently from side to side. And if your legs are extended, put a bend in your knees, plant your feet on the mat, and stretch your arms overhead. Deep breath in and deep breath out. Lower your arms down. We'll hug the right knee in towards the chest. And release. Hug the left knee in towards the chest. And release. Hug the right knee in, hands to the back of your thigh. Straighten your leg and bend. Straighten and bend. Straighten and bend. One more. And then release your right foot down to the mat. Hug your left knee in, hands to the back of the thigh. Once again, straighten and bend. Straighten and bend. Straighten and bend. One more. And release. Then we'll hug both knees in. It might feel good to rock gently from side to side. We'll come back to center, hands to the backs of the thighs. Straighten both legs. And bend both knees. Straighten and bend. Straighten and bend. Next time you straighten, stay there. Relax your shoulders. And then we'll put the bend back in the knees, but keep the legs elevated. Knees stacked over your hips. Soles of the feet pointing towards the foot of the mat or beyond the foot of the mat. A little tuck of the chin. Lift your head and shoulders off the mat. And press your palms into your thighs. Press your thighs back into your palms. Press, 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 press. As you do this, press your low back down into the mat. Keep breathing. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lower your shoulders and head down, hug your knees in. And then we'll do that again. Stack the knees over the hips. Little tuck of the chin, lift your head and shoulders. This time we'll place the palms on the thighs, but as close to the hips as possible, rather than mid-thigh, as close to the hips as possible. Press your hands into your legs, press your legs into your hands. Keep breathing. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Plug the knees in once again. Movement if that feels good. And then one more time. Stack the knees over the hips. Little tuck of the chin. Lift your head and shoulders. This time, palms are going to plant as close to the knees as possible while still remaining on the thighs. Press, press, press. Hands into legs, legs into hands. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release. And then take a full body stretch. Extend your legs, stretch your arms overhead. And lower your arms back down. Put the bend back in the knees and roll to your side. Take a couple breaths on your side. And then we'll find our way to a seated position. With the legs extended out in front. In your seated position, take a nice twist to the right. Back to center. Twist to the left. Back to center. And fold forward. Back to an upright position. We'll bend the knees, plant the feet on the mat, hands to your shins, and take some cow and cat stretches at your own pace. Core already started to get warmed up. Notice areas that need to be stretched. Back to a neutral spine. And then we'll find our way to table. And when you come into your table, we prepare for spinal balance. So step your left foot to the back edge of the mat and lift your left leg up hip height. And add the lift of your right arm out in front. Simply hold for a couple of breaths. And then we'll start to find some movement with the breath if you'd like. Inhale, extend. Exhale, knee and elbow come together to touch. Inhale, extend. Exhale, bend. Keep the movement going with the breath if you choose to move. Feet in the extension. And either stay there or bring your right arm back, bend your left knee, scoop up your foot, kick your foot into your hand. And release, back to table. Now step your right foot to the back edge of the mat, lift your right leg up hip height, pressing out through your heel. Add the lift of your left arm out in front, just hold for a few breaths. Create some space in your right shoulder, press the mat away with your right hand. And you can remain here in stillness or move with your breath. Inhale, reach a little further. Exhale, knee and elbow together to touch. Inhale, extend. Exhale, bend. If you're moving with the breath. We meet up in the extension and either stay there or bring your left arm back, bend your right knee, scoop up your foot, kick your foot into your hand. And release, back to table. And get ready to thread the needle. Look to the right, send your right arm out and up. And then bring your right arm back down, slide the back of your hand across the mat, lower yourself down. You might decide to take a half bind with the left arm. You might decide to creep the left fingers forward, or maybe your hand stays right where it is. Prepare to make your way back up. Press down through your left hand. Lift yourself up. Sweep your right arm out and up. Inhale. Exhale. Back down. We'll take that on the other side. Look to the left. Send your left arm out and up. And then bring your arm down. Slide the back of your hand across the mat. Lower yourself down and adjust the position of your right arm. Prepare to make your way back up. Press down through your right hand. Send your left arm out and up. And then back to table. When it's time from your table, walk your hands forward to a kneeling plank. And we'll lower down part way and press back up. Take that 4 more times. Lower and lift, lower and lift, lower and lift. Last one, lower and lift, and then back to child's pose. Hips to heels, keep your arms extended out in front of you and bring the palms together to touch. Bend your elbows, bringing the thumbs to the back of your neck. I like to draw some circles with my hands in that position to release wrist tension. Lower your hands back down. We'll rise to table. And then come forward to your kneeling plank and come down to your forearm kneeling plank. So come down to the forearms. Once you come down to the forearms, curl the toes under and lift the knees for forearm plank. Now put a little bend in one knee, tapping it down on the mat, lift back up, and then the other. And keep that going. Just a little tap. Keep the glutes engaged to help support the back. Abs are engaged, of course. Keep the legs active. Engaging the muscles, not just letting the movement happen. Three more on each side. We'll bring the knees back down. And once again, come back to child's pose. Back up through a table to kneeling plank. To our first downward facing dog. Curl your toes under, lift your knees, and then lift your hips. Pedal out your downward facing dog. Then begin to walk your feet towards your hands, forward fold near the top of the mat. Bend your knees, tuck your chin, roll up to standing very slowly. Let your head be the last thing to come up. Then at the top, reach your arms up to the sky. Inhale. And exhale, dive down, forward fold. Halfway lift, inhale. Exhale, fold forward, plant your hands, step back to high plank. Shift forward tips of the toes, set your knees down on the mat. 3 times, lower part way, lift back up, lower part way, lift back up, lower part way, lift back up, and then we lower all the way down to the belly. Baby Cobra, lift your chin and chest, hands stay light on the mat, press down through the tops of the feet. Take a breath. And then lower yourself down and press up to kneeling plank, back to child's pose. Back up to kneeling plank and downward facing dog. Walk your feet to your hands, forward fold. Roll up to standing, we'll go a little bit faster. And inhale, reach out and up. Exhale, dive down, forward fold. Halfway lift, inhale. Exhale, fold forward, plant your hands, step back, high plank, shift forward tips of the toes, set your knees down 3 times, lower part way, lift back up, lower part way, lift back up, lower part way, lift back up, then lower all the way down to your belly. Lift to baby cobra, then move deeper, press down through your hands, straighten your arms as you peel your belly and thighs up off the mat. Engage your glutes. Keep your core strong and pull back to child's pose from here. And then up to downward facing dog. Walk feet to hands, forward fold, roll up to standing. The inhale, sweep up. Exhale, dive down. Halfway lift, inhale. Exhale, fold forward, plant your hands, step back, high plank pose, shift forward tips of the toes, stay on your toes, lower to low plank, back up to high, lower to low plank, back up to high, lower to low plank, back up to high. Now listen, lower to low plank, and then upward facing dog, tops of the feet and palms on the mat. A few breaths. One more child's pose, knees come down, pull back to child's pose. And up to downward facing dog. This time in your downward facing dog, walk your feet to your hands, forward fold, and then a slow sweep up to the sky. Inhale, out and up. Exhale, find chair with hands together at heart center. We'll reach the arms forward. Inhale. And exhale, airplane arms. We inhale, reach forward. Exhale, airplane arms. Inhale, reach forward. Exhale, airplane arms. One more time. Inhale, reach forward. Exhale, airplane arms. Hold here. And we'll shift the weight forward into the balls of the feet. Begin to straighten the legs and lift the heels. Parallel torso parallel to the ground. Reach your fingers back. Then lower your heels back down. We'll come back to chair. So torso lifts a bit. Inhale, reach forward. Exhale, airplane arms. And then once again, we'll begin to straighten the legs, bring the torso parallel to the ground, lift your heels. And lower your heels back down, put the bend back in your knees, back to chair. Inhale, arms forward. And exhale down through center, forward fold. Halfway lift, inhale. Exhale, fold forward, plant your hands, step back to your high plank pose and hold your high plank. Getting ready for a side plank here. So you can either keep your feet separated a bit or bring the inner arches together to touch. Roll to the outer edge of your left foot, lift your right arm up to the sky. Then back to center and go the other direction. Back to center. From your high plank, 3 low planks. Low plank back up to high. Low plank back up to high. Low plank back up to high. Then low plank to upward facing dog. We meet in down dog. If you'd like a child's pose on the way, take it. And then from your downward facing dog, step feet to hands. Inhale, sweep up to the sky. Exhale, chair, hands at heart center. Just one time, inhale, reach forward. Exhale, airplane arms. Begin to straighten your legs. Lift your heels. You'll lean the torso forward just a little more. Pull your shoulders away from your ears. We'll lower the heels back down. Put the bend back in the knees. Inhale, reach forward. Exhale, forward fold. Halfway lift, inhale. Exhale, fold forward. Plant your hands. Step back to your high plank pose and move through your side planks. One side and then the other. Back to your high plank and then 3 low planks before you find your flow. And we meet in downward facing dog. This time in your downward facing dog, step your right foot forward inside your right hand. Spin your back heel down and rise to warrior 2. Stretch your fingers in opposite directions. Your chest open to the long edge of the mat. And then lift to reverse warrior, keeping the lunge in the right knee. Lift your right arm up and back, open through your right side. Inhale. And exhale, low lunge. Stay in your low lunge. And we'll put a bend in the back knee, bringing it down to almost tap the mat and then straighten. Bend and straighten. Maybe it's just a little bend. That's okay too. You don't have to come down close to tapping. But as you straighten, you're really pressing back through your heel. We'll meet back in the low lunge with a straight back leg, with hands planted firmly. Lift your right leg up and back, bend your knee and open your hip. And back to downward facing dog. Come forward to your high plank. Take your 3 low planks before you find your flow. We meet in downward facing dog. And step your left foot forward inside your left hip. Spin your back heel down, rise to warrior 2 on this side. And then a slow transition to reverse warrior. Lift and open. Inhale. Exhale, low lunge. We'll remain in the lunge. Just find that movement in the back leg. Little bend and straighten, bend and straighten, bend and straighten. And again, it could be just a tiny bend, or it could be deeper, but you're pressing back to the heel every time you straighten. Next time you straighten, stay there with hands planted firmly. Lift your left leg up and back. Bend your knee open up, like. And then back to downward facing dog. Come forward to your plank, and then again, 3 low planks before you find your flow. You can always skip as many of those as you want, of course. You meet in downward facing dog. And this time in your downward facing dog, you'll walk your feet forward all the way through, come down to have a seat on the mat, with knees bent, feet planted. Bring your hands to the backs of the thighs. Lean back until you feel your core engaged. And we'll extend just one leg up and out. And then bend your knee, lower your toes back down. Let your toes be fairly light here on the mat. So you're not planting your feet. You're just resting your toes. We'll straighten the other leg. And then come back down. Now you can continue alternating. Or you can do both. And you might decide to add your arms. You could alternate if you're doing arms and legs. You could alternate arms and legs. So you can play with this. Find the version that works for you. Or more. We'll meet back with feet on the mat, hands behind the thighs. If you have any weights, you want them to be close to you so that when you lower yourself down to your back, your weights are within reach. Once you come down to your back, feet stay planted. We'll bring weights to heart center. And then press the weights up, keeping the weights together, palms facing one another. Arms are nice and straight. Think about a little tuck of the tailbone and really root the low back down into the mat before you go any further. And then we'll send the straight arms back about 8 inches or so. Your weights are no longer directly in your line of vision. And we'll put a bend in the elbows. Let the weights come down towards the top of the head. Then straighten your arms. Bend and straighten. Bend and straighten. So the upper arms are not moving at all. The only movement is from the elbows down. Keep pressing your low back down into the mat. Take 4 more. 3 more. Meet in the bend in 2 and 1. Elbows are back. And we'll take tiny pulses, pressing the weights back an inch, in an inch, back an inch, in an inch. Tiny movement. Very small movement. Eight, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now straighten. And then bring weights to heart center. Then we'll open the arms out so that the elbows are straight out from the shoulders. Palms face the foot of the mat. And float the upper arms just an inch above the mat. Then press the weights up to the sky. Maybe the ends of the weights come together to touch, maybe not. And then lower down to that hover of the upper arms. Lift and lower. Now, as you're doing this, notice what's going on in your low back. If you need to deepen the connection of the low back to the mat, if you've found that you've lost that, then take a moment to find that connection. The stability that that provides makes you engage the abdominal muscles to help stabilize. Take your time with the movement. You're not using weights. You can get plenty of work just by keeping all of the muscles in the arms active, 100% active the whole time. Next time you press up, stay there. We'll turn the palms to face one another. Separate your arms so they're shoulder width distance apart. And now as we bend the elbows, we bring them in towards the rib cage and lower down to a hover. So palms are still facing one another, hands directly above the elbows, and then press straight up again. So your hands are above your shoulders, and then we'll bend the elbows, think chaturanga arms, right? And then press back up, lower down, press back up. And remember, when you're lowering down, you want to create the same resistance that's there naturally as you lift up or as you press up. So it takes energy both directions. Last few. We'll meet up with the arms hovering. Just take tiny pulses. Press up an inch, down an inch, up an inch, down an inch. Keep the low back connected to the mat. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lower the arms down. You can set the weights aside and then hug your knees in towards your chest. Maybe a little rocking. And then a full body stretch. Extend your legs, extend your arms, reach your arms back. And from here, roll onto your side, whichever side feels good. And you can use your hand or your arm to support your head, or you could use a block to support your head. And create one straight line from the head all the way down through the heels. Stacking one hip on top of the other, one leg on top of the other, nice straight legs. Your top arm can come in so that your hand rests on the mat in front of your chest for some support. Now we'll engage all the muscles in both legs and we'll lift the top leg up. Make sure that your toes stay pointing straight ahead. We don't want the toes to lift up to the sky, so we don't want an opening of the hip. We want the hips to stay facing the long edge of the mat, and then lower your leg back down. We lift and lower, lift and lower. Now, if you find that balance is a challenge, you could put a bend in the bottom knee to give you a little more stability. Otherwise, keeping the legs straight. Four, three, two, one. Lift up. Now put a bend in the top knee. Put a bend in the bottom knee. And we'll just find movement in the top leg. We lower down, lift up, lower down, lift up, lower down, lift up. Doesn't have to be as large a range of motion this time. In fact, if you stay near the top and just do little pulses, can be even more effective. Four, three, two, one, and then roll onto your belly. Take a few breaths on your belly. Might feel good to rock your hips from side to side. And then you'll simply continue rolling so that you roll onto your other side. Once you come onto your other side, get yourself set up, straight legs. Find support for your head, whatever that is. Make sure that your hips are stacked, one on top of the other. Engage all the muscles in both legs, and we'll lift just the top leg up. Find the height that works for you so that you can keep the toes pointing straight ahead rather than lifting to the sky. And then you'll lower and lift, lower and lift. Take your time. Keep pressing out through the heel, both heels actually. And again, if you'd like to bend the bottom knee for some extra stability, that's an option. Four, three, two, one. Lift up, bend the top knee, bend the bottom knee, and then find some little lowers and lifts. Keep all the muscles in the leg active. Keep pressing out through your heel. Four, three, two, one. Lower down, roll to your belly once again. From your belly, bend your elbows, plant your hands next to your rib cage. Come up to kneeling plank. And back to child's pose. From your child's pose up to table. And we'll find a block or a ball to put in between the thighs as an option. And then we'll come to stand on the knees. Once we come to stand on the knees, weights can be used for some bicep work. So we'll squeeze the ball or block, whatever you have in between the thighs. Otherwise, just make sure that you're keeping the inner thighs active. Keep all the muscles in your legs active. And then palms forward, arms down in front. And we'll lift up and lower down. Now you can continue this movement staying straight up and down like this, or you can lean back as you find the arm movement. You can either lean back as you lift, or you can lean back as you lower. You could also tuck the toes under if that feels better. You don't have to go back very far if you choose to go back. Last few. Knee back at the top, straight up and down, and then find cactus arms. Squeeze your glutes, engage your abs, and squeeze the block or the ball, engaging the inner thighs, and then pull your elbows in towards one another, and then open them back out. Squeeze and open, squeeze and open, squeeze and open. Keep going. Four, three, meet at center, in two, in the squeeze, right here. And then a little lift and lower, lift and lower, lift and lower, lift and lower. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then weights to heart center. Let's set the weights down, remove the block or ball, plant your hands, curl your toes under, lift to downward facing dog, pedal out your downward facing dog. Come forward to your high plank, and then find your side plank. Know that this time in your side plank, I'm coming down to my forearm, my wrist is a little sore today. When you're in your side plank, option to lift your top leg. We did this when we were lying on our sides, maybe you do it now. And then back through center to the other side. Maybe adding the lift of the top leg. Keep breathing. And then back to center. Up to downward facing dog as our release. And then find a flow, adding those extra low planks. Meeting in downward facing dog. And then look to your hands, walk your feet all the way through, come down to have a seat on the mat with legs extended out in front. We'll cross the right leg over the left, ankle to thigh. And fold forward. Take your time making your way back up. We'll tighten the cross of the leg, bring the sole of your foot to plant outside your thigh, and then take your twist to the right. Back to center. Gentle counter twist with your legs where they are. And then back to center and uncross your leg. Take that on the other side. Cross your left leg over your right, ankle to thigh. Find your forward fold. Back to an upright position. Tighten the cross. And find your twist. Back to center, gentle counter twist. Back to center, uncross your leg, plant the feet on the mat, roll yourself down to your back. And prepare for bridge. Plant your feet hip width distance apart. Root down through your feet, root down through your shoulders, lift your hips. If you prefer wheel, of course, take wheel. One more breath. And lower yourself down. And once you lower yourself down, just see what movement your body is asking for. Any movement that feels good before you find the stillness of Shavasana.
Once you do come into that place of stillness, adjust whatever needs to be adjusted so that you can completely relax. Letting everything go. Simply breathing in and breathing out. Nothing else is needed. Thank your body for everything that it does for you every day. Thank yourself for making time to come to your mat today. As you lie here in your Shavasana, you may wish to set an intention for your day. If you've chosen to do that with your intention in mind, take a couple of deep breaths. And bring a smile to your face and begin your reawakening. Let your reawakening be movement that feels natural to you. Eventually rolling to your side if you've been on your back, and pressing yourself up to a seated position. Eyes can remain closed. In your seated position with your intention in mind, if you set one. Inhale, reach your arms out and up. Exhale, draw thumbs to heart center. Thank you for sharing the practice today, for sharing your energy. Have a beautiful Friday. Namaste.